What do you think of when you hear the term reality television? Probably something staged, trashy, and filled with terrible people making terrible decisions. The kind of shows that run on TLC, you know, a learning channel. Absurd clips of those types of shows get circulated every so often because sometimes they're just objectively funny. But aside from how amusing they are as concepts, it's clear that people do watch these shows because some of them are long running series. Why? What is the point of watching televised train wrecks? Well, I'll tell you that I've seen some very specific types of reality shows. There are two I've watched recently, or watched clips of, which are the shows Hoarders and Jerry Springer. Both of these are technically reality shows, but they are two very different types of entertainment. If you don't know what either of them are, then I'll explain them somewhat briefly. Hoarders is a show about people who, hoard things. They do this multi-day program to try and help someone who fills their house with stuff, usually trash, and get their house cleaned up. It's supposed to be a show about helping people, generally speaking, which it does accomplish more often than not from what I've seen. It can be an objectively gross show to watch, but it contains a lot of raw moments where family members clash with each other and the consequences of hoarding are brought up to the surface. Things don't always end up resolved, and sometimes nothing really changes, no matter how much effort is put in. That's the reality part of it. The Jerry Springer Show is a completely different category. It's framed as a talk show, but the actuality is that they bring on people with interpersonal drama and they air all the fights and yelling and scandalous drama on TV. It usually involves cheating on partners, bad relationships, and people fighting each other. It's one of those shows that sort of highlights the worst in people, because to even be on the show, you have to have little to no sense of shame or awareness to agree to air out personal business like that. It naturally attracts a lot of bad personality types. This portrayal of shitty, naive, and deluded behavior is basically the core concept of the show. These two shows are wildly different, but there's a connection between them and all reality TV. The through line is that these shows deliberately focus on the uglier parts of life. The point of a reality TV show is to capture the negative things we all experience and feel to some degree. That's why it's called reality TV. Obviously, not every show is going to actually portray things realistically, but that's the point of the genre as a whole. So, to circle back to my original question of why people watch, it's easiest to start with why I personally watch these types of shows sometimes. I watch them because they give me a snapshot of humanity that would otherwise be ignored or quietly brushed under the rug. I want to see people fighting and crying and swearing and expressing all of these emotions in messy ways, because that's how real people navigate difficult emotions. I don't really want to talk about myself like I'm some kind of computer, but this kind of content is sort of like calibration data for me. When I watch these things, I am grounding myself in what the real world is like without polish, without precise editing, and without curated speech. I feel the need to do this periodically. If I don't, I start to lose touch with myself, and I'll end up comparing myself to unrealistic versions of people as a whole. I have a much easier time with being imperfect or a little messy when I know that it's normal and sometimes expected. These shows remind me that I'm not much different than anybody else, and nobody can exist perfectly, which I believe is the main draw for this genre of content. It gives people permission to be a little bit erratic, a bit loud, a bit messy themselves. That freedom to not hold themselves together all the time is ironically what makes people more stable in the long run. There is also that catharsis of seeing a person with tons more issues than you and thinking, well, at least I'm not like that. It sounds bad on the surface, but there's real value in understanding where you are in the world and having that kind of perspective. If you can see that other people can live with these issues and persist anyway, then your life feels more manageable by comparison. It's a useful type of comparison to do for some people, myself included, and it really only becomes a problem when you rub the differences in people's faces. That's just a mean thing to do, you know? The smallest group of people who watch reality shows are people who just enjoy suffering. This is a minuscule percentage of people because actually enjoying suffering is just not common. It's an outlier because it has to be. Civilization wouldn't function if that was a common trait. So, the point of reality TV is to highlight these messy situations because there are people who want to watch them. It's simple supply and demand, but the demand is not quite as negative as it would seem. There are perfectly good reasons to want to see these displays of human emotion because they remind us that it's okay to be a bit of a disaster sometimes, so long as we are moving forward. As I have reached the end of this video, I would like to quote Jerry Springer here. He always concluded his show with a very simple message that is thematically appropriate, despite all the chaos that goes on with that show. It goes a bit like this. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.